Alrighty, guys. So, an article was submitted to me that is titled, "Cis Men Are Driving Britain's Anti-Trans Hostility." And the data proves it. That's an interesting article. I'm honestly flabbergasted. Are you saying that guys, by and large, have a problem with being toxic to minority group? Wow, weird. What a strange world we live in. What an awkward society this is. I have never experienced this before. I'm kidding. This is basically the norm everywhere. We need to do better. Anywho, let's go ahead and take a look at fan art, and then we're going to read the article. The first bit of fan art we have here is from Big Tony. Suris, but in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. The next one we have here is from Tales of Atonement. Just got some new stuff in. Now I have to decide when I'm going to get down to coloring this scene of Mirari and Slime Girl Suris. For those who don't know, Tales of Atonement is actually a production that I'm going to be voicing a character in as soon as I have lines sent to me. So yeah, that's where that is from. The next one we have here is from Jet Bagel Suris with Catboy cream cheese. Why am I a bagel? I don't remember when that happened. I don't remember when that happened at all. I'm so confused. What the fuck? Why did that happen? Anyway, as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Don't Interrupt Me with an oh. I'm kidding. It's okay to interrupt me with an oh. It's okay. Eki Cat Deer, thank you for redeeming 500 points. Hit the subscribe button. That's a thing y'all can do. I'm also doing a subathon. Come check it out. Anywho, let's go ahead and get into all of this. Like I said, the article is called "Cis Men Are Driving Britain's Anti-Trans Hostility." The data proves it. Let's take a look and see how this is. Oh, also, you and Broadbull, thank you for redeeming your points for an ada. You fucking degen. But, yeah. Let's go and take a look at the article itself. With politicians from both major UK parties pitting trans rights against women's rights, data journalist Elle Fallon reveals that it's actually cis men, not women, who are fueling the anti-trans sentiment. Weird. It's become common for politicians to act as if transgender rights and women's rights are inherently contradictory and conflicting. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak blocked Scotland's gender reform law, citing potential concerns around the safety of women, while Labour's Annalise Dodds has ruled out self-ID for trans people and vowed to defend single-sex spaces. Oh boy, more from Turf Island. My favorite. Also, Stoff, hey you, wet yourself right now? I'll do that. Hold on. Okay. I've wet myself, and now I need new pants. Have I done it? Did I do a good job? I'm kidding. I drank water. But research shows when they take these positions, Britain's political class are not actually speaking for women. Far from seeing transgender rights as encroaching on their own, most British women, in fact, favor the rights for trans and non-binary people. It's men who are the most vocal and determined in opposing them. God, color me shocked. We kind of blow ass. I'm just going to tangent for a second. It's simultaneously weird to live in a world where we need to do better by men because we have such high rates of suicide successes. We have such high rates of problems in our own areas. We have toxic masculinity that is literally an internal problem we need to learn how to deal with better. And then we see shit like this. I know that looking at all of us as a giant monolith is not a smart thing to do, and it's something that can drive you insane if you do that with any group of people, but, I mean, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ, come on. We can do better than this. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Most of the time, when people are transphobic, most of the time, they have an idea in their head of what a trans person looks like. And it goes one of two ways, right? Either they are terrified, absolutely horrified about the idea that they might find a trans person who passes so thoroughly, and they are also incredibly attracted to them, that they might have to ask themselves, am I gay? When the answer is no, you're not. You like female, feminine things, and that is a person being those things. That's fine. It's okay. It's okay. Or, alternatively, the idea in their head is not one they're terrified of because it makes them question things about themselves, but the idea in their head is one of a trans person who is not passing, or in their minds, ugly. In fact, most people, when they have an idea in their head at a baseline of what a guy is and what a girl is, if somebody looks particularly guy-ish, they may think that they are clocking them as if they are a trans person. In their mind, somebody who's pretending to be a woman, even though, that's not how that works. Most of the people who do this fail at clocking, and they end up finding out that, oh shit, that was actually a cis woman who just happened to have a lot of masculine traits. She had broader shoulders, or what have you. You never know what the situation is with somebody. You're just basically going off of a set of presumptions that are just usually incorrect. But those are the two images that pop up in somebody's mind. Either somebody who they consider ugly, which is really what they're saying when they're saying that, oh, well, that's a trans woman who doesn't pass. And no, you just don't think they're attractive. You're not attracted to them. That's usually what happens. Or, alternatively, they do find them attractive and holy fuck, that scares them. Because that makes them question things about themselves that they really, really do not want to touch. They don't want to touch that at all because it's terrifying to them. The idea that you may like a girl and she may be really cute, sweet, awesome, funny, and then, you go to do the deed, you take off her pants, and, suddenly there's a dick there. That can be scary. I get it. I understand. That can be a horrifying thing to think about. Get the fuck over it. People have different genitalia, and you will do fine. Just handle it. So I'm not sure how I feel about you saying it's okay to these transphobes. It's okay to be worried. It's okay to take time and reconsider your positions. Here's the thing. It's okay to have the feeling of being scared about how you're going to act when you find out that somebody has a different set of genitalia. It's okay. It's what you do with that fear that matters. You can't control having it. But it is okay to recognize that you have it and then do something about it. Either have a conversation with your partner that, hey, maybe there's things you can do that don't involve the genitalia that you are not comfortable with using. I mean, hell, there's lots of trans girls who are not comfortable using that genitalia anyway because it triggers their dysphoria. Or you may find that you have no attraction to guys whatsoever, but you're perfectly fine doing things with your partner, and oh wow, what a weird concept! You were still straight all along! It is okay to have those feelings and not know what to do with them. It is not okay to choose to hurt people when you decide what to do with them. That's my point. But, getting back to the article itself, the extent to which men embrace anti-trans rhetoric and women do not is evidence from the most general of political polling questions. In May, YouGov asked whether transphobia is or is not a problem in Britain. 44% of men said it isn't a problem, with 43% saying it is, whereas 54% of women believe it's a very real problem, while 31% disagree. This is an unusual gap in attitudes between gender. Other policy questions do not elicit such a dramatic divide between men and women. For example, one recent survey showed that 81% of men and 77% of women support raising tax-free allowances. The gender gap on the issue of trans rights also applies to specific policies that would benefit trans people, ranging from documentation to healthcare and education. When YouGov asked if trans people should be allowed to change their gender on official documents, such as passports and driver's licenses, 43% of voters said yes, but when this was driven mainly by women, 45% yes, to the 35% who said no, while 43% of men to the 40% who said yes. One of the main arguments made by Labour and the Conservatives around blocking self-ID for trans people is their desire to defend single-sex spaces for women. But when asked, 45% of women said trans women should be able to use female toilets, but almost half of the men surveyed opposed the idea. Let's see here how that ended up working. Yeah, the women and the men are basically flipped on this graph. Holy shit. It doesn't sound like a lot, but they are flipped on this. That's so weird. The data suggests that despite politicians constantly citing concerns from women about trans people, it's actually cis men who are insistent upon the desire to regulate and control access to women's spaces. Don't. Thank you for the follow. Don't. And an OO at the end. Weird. Like, obviously, a cis dude won't encounter a trans woman in the woman's bathroom, so why does it matter? I think I can explain this one. So, as guys, we're taught from a very, very young age that we are supposed to be the defenders. We're supposed to be the protectors. Our job is to be providers. Our job is to be protectors. Our job is to be all these things. It's one of those toxic masculine things that we're injected with early on. We are taught that this is our role in life and it's the thing that we need to do. So, because of that, when we are talking about things like women's spaces, should trans people be there, you get the person who has the idea in their head, not of the, you know, attractive passing trans woman. Their idea is the other one I mentioned, the basically guy pretending to be girl image of a trans woman. The version that you see Stone Toss throw into his comics, the versions you see that are constantly made fun of by Validels online on Twitter. That person in their head, that's the person that they think is going into the bathroom. That's the person that they think is going in there. And when they see that person, all they can see is potential predator. That's all they can see. They see a predator in their mind, and that thing that they've been ingrained with from birth kicks in. Oh, I need to protect the girl from here. Now, really, the other half of that is that a lot of guys have this really weird idea that if you protect a girl from something, they're gonna owe you, you know, putang, which is not the case. But, you know, people have this idea that they're gonna be that chivalrous knight that protects the girl, and then they're gonna get sex. But, you know, because of that, you have the guy with that misconception of what a trans woman is. They think they're going to go into the bathroom, and they think they're going to go in there and save the girl and all that other dumb shit. Because of all of that, it comes back down again to toxic masculinity. That whole idea of you thinking, oh, you're going to protect the real women from these pretenders, these predators, and then what? When you get denied, what are you going to do? Are you just going to go be depressed again? Are you going to go eat Cheetos? That's my theory. I could be completely wrong. But I think it is a combination of that stereotype plus that ingrained bit of you're the guy you're supposed to protect women thing that we're forced into as cis guys. Again, I could be very, very wrong. I could be wrong. And if somebody has a different idea of what's going on there, then, you know, please let me know. But that's how it runs out in my mind. So that's kind of what I think is probably going on there. Again, could be incorrect, but I don't think I am. It says in here that women are also more favorable towards trans rights when it comes to healthcare, a key area of public life where transgender people are constantly failed by the state. When asked if the NHS should fund a hormone treatment, Brits narrowly said no, but that's solely because of overwhelming opposition among men. 49% no, 31% yes. Women respondents, by contrast, say the NHS should fund trans healthcare by 44% to 33%. Okay, yeah, there we go. The same split can be found on the question of whether the NHS should fund gender-affirming surgery. Men oppose it by a large margin, but women support the idea. some guys can be insecure because trans women can have bigger penises than them. I don't think it's actually that. I don't think it's that. I know that there's guys out there that get really, really up in arms about the size of their junk, but I don't think they're really worried that, you know, the girl that they find cute is going to end up having bigger junk than them. I don't think that's going to be a thing that they're really worried about. It's more that because we are taught at such a young age that genitalia is the most important part of sex. Don't says, that is a thing, are you kidding me? Is it? Is it? I have never heard of a guy being worried that his girlfriend is going to have a bigger cock than him. I have never seen that. What I have seen, the thing that I have experienced seeing a lot, is guys that are terrified that if they find a girl attractive and she has a dick, it suddenly means they're gay. Like, there was an old friend of mine, he's not a friend anymore, who, when me and a few other friends asked him, hey, what are you going to do if your son turns out to be gay? And he just said that he would feel like he was a failure. He would feel like he failed his son because he didn't raise him right. Like, there is an absolute terror in conservative circles about turning out to be gay. It's like being a failure of a man. I'm gonna have to ask you to send me some of the stuff that you're mentioning. Don't, because that's, and again, throw it in the comment section too for anybody who's watching over on YouTube when this gets out there. And if this ends up being a short that gets used by Rainbow Passage, then I mean, let me know in the comment section over there too. However you end up finding this footage, let me know. So honestly, many of them view being trans less worse than being gay. Again, I'd have to see some examples on that, because it's not what I've seen. Now, granted, my perspective is having a group of conservative gamers in the South. Like, that's the group that I hang around down here. So these are the fears that I've heard from them. I don't know if in broader circles there are different ones, or if there's other stuff that I need to be considering. But these are the experiences that I've seen. These are the conversations I've had. I was accepted for being trans when I transitioned by a lot of conservative friends, but when I wanted to be a lesbian woman, it was a step too far. So basically, when you said, I'm trans, they said that's okay, but when you said, by the way, I still like girls, they were like, hey, bucko, that's a bit too far. You stay away from our ladies with your boobies. Is that basically that? Because that... Weird. Maybe they're just worried that, like... I said, yeah, it was a mindfuck. I think I can speak to that one a little bit as well. Versus I've seen from people who moved to my area from the South. So, there is a concept in the Andrew Tate-esque sphere of YouTube. The idea of the dating marketplace, right? The idea that there's a finite number of eligible women and there's a finite number of eligible guys, and you really want to make yourself one of the eligible guys, or else you're going to get stuck with the sloppy seconds or something. You're going to have fewer and fewer worthwhile women as you get older. That concept. And if somebody views themselves as being entitled to a woman, which is very much a normal thing that people in those spheres feel, when those people feel like they're entitled to women, I guess it would follow that if they feel like you transitioned, you were no longer taking from their finite pool of women that they are supposed to deserve. Again, does that make sense? Because that's the only way I can square that one in my mind. Outside of being, like, stupid knee-jerk reaction. Like, that's how that logic would follow in my mind. Is that they were like, hey, this person is no longer supposed to be taking from my dating pool, but they're taking from my dating pool, and there's only so many there. I want what's left for me. Ignoring the fact that more people are born every single goddamn day, that your dating pool is not as limited as you think it is. Just wait like 3 years. More people enter your dating pool. More people come into your age range. You'll be fine. Not to mention, as you get older, you will probably be more tolerable to a partner. Just saying. As you get older, you probably become more... you probably become more enjoyable to be around. Because people actually start maturing well past the time they're 18. It's not like you hit 18, you're suddenly now an adult, and everything changes for you. No, you're still unkidifying a lot of your mental state. It's one of the reasons why we look so weirdly on the idea of somebody being, say, 30 or 40 and dating somebody who's 18. Yeah, that person's technically legally an adult, but come on. Come on. I understand, you know, falling into that relationship because you got in the same gaming group or something. It happens. There can be legitimate reasons it happens, but the amount of experience that you've got, the amount of experience that they've got, y'all aren't going to be super compatible. That's just going to be weird. So I have no idea of a question I have goes too far after hearing this. I mean, what is the question, Lenore? Look, I've probably heard worse. So I'll be indirect? Nah, just be direct. It's perfectly fine. Like, you can have age gaps, and again, there's completely valid reasons for having those types of relationships. Said if men are worried about this issue, 18 and 19 have teen in the name for a reason. Yeah. I mean, the she's bigger issue, I mean, just go ahead and say it. I mean, so, here's the thing. I think they have far more to worry about from toys. Oh, yeah, no, you can... Look, walk into any sex shop, and anything in there, any toy in there, with the right amount of silicone, will dwarf your size. And trust me, you are not as skilled with your dick as she is going to be with that toy. Trust me, you will never, ever be able to hit the spots in the perfect way, the same way the toy will. You know, you can do, though. You can learn. You can ask your partner, hey, did this feel good? Did this feel good? Is this one all right? Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how this thing feels when I do it to you. There's plenty of ways you can improve. But to pretend that, you know, your average 6.5 sizer is going to match up to the 18-inch, you know, Horse Throbber 9000 she picked off of Chinese eBay. Come on. It's okay. It's okay. That thing's bigger than you. You aren't going to be dwarfing it. It's fine. Accept that. Deal with it. Work around it. It's okay. It's okay. Would you give it a 5 out of 5 stars? Yes. We've got a similar thing here where it says, should trans identities be taught in school? There's like an 11% gap in what women and men say there. It's also worth noting that when asked if greater recognition and rights for trans people poses a genuine risk to human rights, 38% of women said no, while a third thought it did. Again, it was men who insisted there is a danger, with 39% saying yes to 28% replying no. No risk. Men... The same amount of women said there was no risk as the same amount of men that said there was a risk. Jesus Christ. If someone leaves you for a piece of plastic, my guy, it wasn't the plastic. Yep. I guarantee she can get a giant strap that's far bigger than any trans woman will be. And if she was interested in pegging, well... Said, Suris, that was a perfect opportunity to plug. God, you know... But my rule is that I do the plugs when other people plug stuff. But I guess you're right. I am the only YouTuber sponsored by DDLG Playground. You can use coupon code Suris to get 10% off any purchase. That's a thing you can do. There, I did the thing. I did the plot. Are you happy? Are you happy? What can we learn from all this? For one thing, there's absolutely a strong current of anti-trans sentiment in public opinion, but notably, women are not as vocal as men. It is in fact men who tend to be the ones who hold on to transphobic views, and men who are in firm believing that trans women should be kept out of women's spaces, even as women themselves are fine with the idea. Often politicians who oppose trans rights will say they are merely expressing women's concerns. What this data proves is that they aren't actually speaking for women. They're speaking mostly for cis men. Interesting. So that's why I provided a plug of my own. So I think transphobia is mainly derived from toxic masculinity. Well, again, remember the two examples I gave, right? The idea of the two images a person has in their mind when they're transphobic. They have the image of the trans woman who is very attractive, and they might actually be attracted to, and because they're attracted to them, they are terribly scared that makes them gay. Or the image of the trans woman who doesn't pass and is therefore in their mind ugly, and as a result is not deserving of X, Y, and Z. Both of those are traits that are rooted a lot in either toxic masculinity or misogyny. The idea that there is a particular standard that a woman needs to be in order to be a correct human. Said notably, neither of those images is a trans man. Well, yeah, because we're talking about cis guys who are largely straight, and they're going to largely view things in realms of, am I attracted to them or am I not attracted to them? That's where I'm putting that. I understand trans women and trans men are different, and there's an aspect of this that needs to be talked about as well, where trans men are largely left out of a lot of these conversations. And I bring that up because I've known guys whose girls transitioned. But yeah, they're partners who, at the time they started dating, identified or presented as women, and later on in their relationship, identified or presented as men. Yep, I've seen it happen. Hell, one of my best friends in high school actually had a partner who identified and presented as female up until about the age of 15, 16, and then that partner, he now identifies and presents as male, and that was actually, like, that issue. Those two are still together. There was a gap where they weren't, but they are together now, and have been for years. That was my first encounter with somebody who was trans, and that actually led me to being incredibly transphobic as a kid. Like, as a teenager, I was a fucking awful person. And that was one of those inciting incidents, was being met with somebody who was. It opened up the avenue there for me to be an asshole. Didn't help that my grandpa, the one on my dad's side of the family, had actually told me about the best friend he had when he was in high school and how they both went into the military, and then their friend turned out to be trans, and now they just can't be friends anymore. And I looked up to my grandpa, and so that was a thing that I carried with me. It's a thing that I grew out of. It's a thing that I got past, but it's a thing that happened. People got hurt from it. So, oh god, now I'm just thinking of that thing where Shrek turns into a woman and Fiona says it's okay because she's bisexual. Oh my god. So it turns out men are very simple-minded. Cis guys are kind of simple-minded. We really are. Look, I'm not saying that every single time Saki looks at me, my heart bubbles up and it becomes hard for me to move. If she walks in particular ways, I'm not saying that happens, but it definitely is a thing that impedes my ability to function sometimes. Because brain go burr. Because I am a simple guy. I like cute girl. So, I don't know. We can do better, though. Guys can do better. We both, on the left, need to understand that guys as a whole need to do better, and then also we need to do better by guys. I think we need to move past, like super past, the kill all men style of feminist discourse and start operating almost exclusively in the inclusivity section. Because that's going to keep more people from becoming the Andrew Tate sycophants of the world and getting them more into the ally section of the world. And that's kind of what we want, right? Said you and Saki are cute. Sarah's brain go loading screen when he sees cute Saki girl. Yeah. Said kill toxic masculinity. That would be more accurate, but we'd get memed on for the delivery. We would get memed on for the delivery. Because here's the thing, nobody can agree on what toxic masculinity is on the right. Because when you say toxic masculinity, I know we're talking about the variety of negative traits and expectations that are thrown on to guys. But if you go over to the right side, then they think you're just calling being a man toxic. Now, whether that begins as a deliberate obfuscation, or that began as them being told that and they parroted it, or that's just an actual misunderstanding, it's hard to say. We need to get better at communicating our ideas and doing so in a way that doesn't necessarily use buzzwords. Because when we use those buzzwords, we know what they mean, but the other side has an idea of what they mean too, and we're going to get lost in the semantics of that. And because we're going to get lost in the semantics of that, you never actually have the conversations that matter anymore. Don't says, we need to also move past the you have cis male privilege. You need to learn to listen right now and stop trying to speak over everyone. Sure, it works by wearing people down over time, but it's much more ineffective than engaging a discussion as many want to have. Yeah, like, I know that I, as a cis guy, have a lot of privileges. Hell, I live in the Georgia South. This is like Mecca for cis guys, right? Yeah, if you are out here and you've got a little bit of musculature, you will do perfectly fucking fine. People want you to do construction. People want you to move couches. Like, you are accepted here, and you can do dumb-ass country boy culture all you want, and things will just work out. But, on the other hand, if you try to tell somebody who goes to work every single day and doesn't really know how to make ends meet very well, and you tell them you've got cis white het privilege, they're going to look at you funny. And they're going to go, the fuck do you mean? I can barely pay my phone bill. What the fuck do you mean, privilege? And this is where you have to stop using buzzwords. You have to stop using them, because you get mired down in explaining the minutia of, well, when we're talking about privilege, we're not meaning you are a privileged person. We're meaning you have a handful of advantages that other people don't have. You're a guy, so you're respected more as a default in this area than most women are. You're white, so that you're more trustworthy than black people are in this area in terms of like what people see when they look at you at a glance. When you start trying to, and you go, you've got heterosexual privileges, your dating pool is just by nature larger. You have a larger dating pool than other people, and it's going to be easier for you to get a family started. You don't have to go through the hoops of in vitro and stuff like that, assuming that your partner ends up being fertile. You've got a lot of things stacked in your favor. But what the fuck was I trying to get on when I called this person privileged? And now that I've explained all of what it is, what was I trying to do? Even if I can get them to agree on all of that, where was that conversation supposed to go? Have I made an ally out of this person? Or have I just made myself look like a fucking fedora? It's the issue with bringing academic theory into debate discourse, which should only be done sparingly, really. Yeah, like, we need to get better about separating the specific way that we speak. If we speak purely academically, we will lose people in conversation. Whereas if we get better at talking to people like they're regular people when we're out having a drink with them and not like we're recruitment officers for the leftist communist cat girl agenda, then maybe, just maybe, we'll do a better job of bringing people over to the left. What a weird concept. We make a habit of pointing out that people who go over to the conservative side of thinking because they're nicer to them, we call them weak, right? We make fun of them. We meme on them on our channels, on Zan's, mine, Demon Mama's, Vosh's. We meme on them. That's what we do. But if you move past the hyperbole of being a streamer who has to say things in an entertaining way to keep an audience's attention, really think about it. Do you want to be in a group of people where everybody is constantly telling you that you're the asshole, that you're the problem, that you're what's wrong with society? No, you don't. You actively don't want to be in those spaces. You may talk about how it's, bad for them to sacrifice their ethics to go where it's more comfortable, but really, they're sacrificing peace of mind being with you. Be better about letting those people be around you. And if you're better about letting those people be around you, they might want to stick around for the things you have to say. So the whole privilege thing gets people's hackles up. It does. And there's a part of that that is a response that is, on the shoulders of the Walshes, Shapiros, and the Rufos of the world. They're the people who made those words so toxic to use in discourse. But the thing is that we don't get to speak as if we're in an ideal world where they haven't done that damage. We take the world we've been given and we operate within that. That's the pragmatic thing to do. Don't operate like you're in your idealized society. Operate like you're in the fucking society that you're in, and come up with solutions that work within that framework, not in your ideal framework. Because guess what? Your ideal framework ain't gonna happen. You don't live in it. You're probably never gonna live in it. Your kids will probably never live in it. Your kids' may end up living in it, but that's only if you do a good job now. So... anyway, that's depressing. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Insert end of video tagline here.